Board of Trustees, Village of Fredonia workshop. We'll start out with resolutions tonight. Number one, SUNY Fall Sweep. That's come up here in November. It's what the college kids do with the leaves for everybody. Any questions, any comments?
Nope.
Number two, volunteer fire department active role removal. Comments, any questions? Police department resignation. Any comments, any questions? That's their police dispatcher who's leaving them.
Do we have a list?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Number four, budget transfer. Comments or questions? Number five, installation of fence on Webster Road. This is for the water tank. Do you need to explain anything on that, Louis?
It's just disinfection.
Okay.
Did that go to bid, or how did you?
There's only one company that does it.
Okay.
The
Water-
fence is just for the disinfection?
The fence.
Oh, the fence, no, that went out to bid.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about disinfection.
Nope, and the
That's
fence,
separate. Quotes. We got quotes on the fence, not a
Okay.
bid, not a bid.
Okay.
Because it's under the 20,000.
okay, so we have quotes on that. That's for the water tank and to go around the generator and so forth. Water tower disinfection approval. Any comments or questions on that?
Do we have a, Louis, do we have a time frame when that might happen?
No, we just have to get it approved. And then we'll go from there, so I'll get a hold of them tomorrow.
Because there's no water in the tank now, so we don't have to empty it, but, okay. So we wanted to come out here sooner rather than later so we could fill it and have fire protection.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so the object was, Lewis was able to get the company there to fix the mixers and that at the same time. So instead of doing this process twice, we could have probably filled it sooner, maybe, but,
So it's fully operational and could be used for drinking water then?
Once it's disinfected and tested, there's no bacteria in it.
yes.
Okay. Great.
So I know the college had concerns with that we wouldn't have adequate water pressure in our system if we had a major fire at SUNY Fredonia, and I assured them we still would. We'd run our plant at high capacity. We may have to do, could possibly have to do a boil water order after that, but we do have the capacity for fire suppression, and that's not a worry. But having a tank, having 1 million gallons more would definitely give us that much more cushion, in addition to fire suppression when we have water main breaks as well. Because when we have a 12-inch water main that breaks, we generally lose around 1 million gallons of water within an hour. So that's good news, and everybody should be happy to hear that. Number 7, Halloween trick-or-treat hours. Comments or questions? Can I talk anybody into making it like from 5 to 6 or 6 to 7? Or?
Gotta be at night. It's more fun when it's at night.
For 1 hour?
Okay, 7 to 8, I don't care.
You'll have grandkids soon, Doug.
Scrooge.
All right. Number 8, cell phone use during public meetings. Any comments, any questions?
Nope.
Is there comments or questions?
No?
Okay. Are there any other resolutions that are being walked on tonight, or that we forgot, or that I just didn't see? Okay, good. Wow, that's a first.
Look at that.
Awesome. New business we'll move on to. Halloween parade preparation.
I put this on so Scott and Dave would know what Frankie needs for that day.
Okay.
Do you know off the top of your head, Frankie, what you'll need for the parade?
Just like blockade of the streets.
Yeah, like,
So we're gonna be starting on the corner of Risley and Temple, so all of the side streets going down Temple Street, and then coming up to the gazebo. So is it Leverett, Barker, Terrace?
I
Thank
think
you.
Chief Price would like to know a list, right? Chief?
We don't block those streets, we let the people block those streets,
Okay.
just like with the Farm Festival Parade.
We should close down Church Street though, because they're gonna do dance performances and
Yeah, Dan is doing a dance performance.
the Church Street in front of the gazebo, same section we closed for the concerts.
When is the parade?
The 28th of October. At 9:30, 10 a.m.
As a Saturday morning.
Yes.
Any other questions for Frankie on the parade?
No, just excited. First one in, it's been 5-7 years since we had a parade. Anybody?
I can't remember how long it's been.
So it's good we're bringing stuff back.
Yay.
Hopefully we can ask the public to participate. Are you asking for floats and stuff too, people to do?
Yeah, so we have about 21 people signed up total, but not for just the parade. Like, it's for both the trick or treat and the parade. So there are a number of floats already in it. I probably have 2 or 3 more spots to fill for the parade, and then we'll be done.
Good. Anything else? I have some new business here. I have a letter from SUNY Fredonia that the College Council wanted me to read to the public and to the board here regarding SUNY Fredonia and water service. Dear Mayor Essick and Village Trustees, State University of New York at Fredonia has a long, strong, and storied relationship with the village. We cherish that relationship. The university and our students have struggled together with the village and its residents, respecting an assured, sufficient quality water supply. The College Council believes and takes the position that the time has come for the village to work with the university and the City of Dunkirk to provide the university with City of Dunkirk water. A preliminary engineering study was conducted in 2014 providing for an interconnection between the City of Dunkirk's Willowbrook Avenue water tower and the village main line near the university's service complex on Ring Road. Given improved construction techniques, that interconnection continues to make sense and likely made more directly from the water tower to the village's main line. The university, like the village and its residents, has struggled to maintain all the expected university services for its students, especially residential students, faculty, and staff during the village's all too frequent water emergencies. Additionally, while the university enjoys adequate water pressure on the village water system for daily needs, the village's water storage capacity is limited and/or not existent. In the event of an emergency requiring maximum volumes of water, the pressure will not save the university as the supply of water is quickly depleted. The mayor's recent declaration of an emergency to help address the continuing and foreseeable water supply issues involving the reservoir, water treatment plant, and water system generally is a further indication of the problems that we can expect and that require a very different solution for the university than continuing with the Fredonia Reservoir as a water supply. The College Council, on behalf of the university, respectfully requests that the village work with the university and the City of Dunkirk to develop the Willowbrook Water Tower and University Village interconnection. The university will do everything possible to support this initiative and help the village to acquire the necessary funding. Working together as if we are one intermunicipal community, we can accomplish this interconnection and provide the assured, sufficient, quality water supply that we can rely upon now and for our future. Respectfully, and on behalf of the College Council, Frank A. Pagano, Chairman. I can tell you that last Thursday, I met with Mayor Rosas and President Colston regarding this issue, and we all agree that the village needs to work on its water system, and we are doing that. And they are aware that in November 13th, the our engineers, Labella Associates, will be providing us with a comprehensive evaluation of our water system. And at that time, the board can review that and move forward, and the health department actually has mandated that the village make a decision on which direction the village needs to go with our water supply before the end of the year.
Mayor Essick, can I add something?
Sure.
That the engineers did meet with the city of Dunkirk last Wednesday at 9 o'clock to discuss Dunkirk's proposal. And then we met with Labella that afternoon, and they reviewed their discussions with Dunkirk. They asked for some information, some past studies from Dunkirk, and Dunkirk complied. So everything that has been requested from Dunkirk, they have provided, so the report that Labella is preparing could be as complete as possible. And like the mayor said, that will be presented here November 13th.
So I can assure the board and the public that the president of the college and the mayor of the city of Dunkirk and myself are all on the same page as working together once the solution is given by the board to which direction to go, to work together, as the letter stated, as one intermunicipal community to make water available for our community, both safe and abundantly. So rest assured, the leaders right now are working together, and if we can work with the state of New York to gather funding for this, working together, we will do that as a team. So,
Can I ask, did the question ever come up about when the university mentioned funding to help build a new infrastructure in Dunkirk? Did any question ever come up about the possibility of the university helping fund infrastructure upgrades to the Fredonia system itself? They have such concerns. They exist within the boundaries of the Village of Fredonia. That's one of the reasons we have to have fire coverage for them. Not Dunkirk has fire coverage, we have fire coverage for them. We're responsible for the millions of dollars of safety equipment in order to provide that fire coverage for them. I was wondering if that question ever came up, if they'd be willing to provide funding for our system, for on our side of the village, where they do exist. Because they don't pay any taxes to the village. They don't pay for fire coverage. All they do pay for is water. That is one of our primary sources of revenue to maintain our water system within the village. We do have some old, just like many communities, a lot of our water mains are getting older and need replacing. That won't change the issues should we get water main breaks or more frequently. If they could help us eliminate that problem, would be very helpful. If the water main connection were to come to the backside of the university, it's not one of our main lines going into the university. It's on the university. They're responsible for taking care of their infrastructure on the site of the university. So in that thought process, if they're bringing water into the university has a water main break, which they recently, not too long ago, had a fairly large one, and actually multiple. And if they're having an issue, we can't go on there and fix those leaks. They have to do it. And what kind of timely manner would that take place if they're going to try to provide extra water to Fredonia itself through those lines? Those are questions that I was wondering if they were brought up during those meetings. And we also have, I have the reports. Yeah, in the reports from your recent meetings, there was a little bit of a conflict as far as the volumes of water from our, that keeps changing apparently, from our Vineyard Drive pump station. Than it was when it was originally designed.
Okay, can you clarify which meetings you're talking about?
Oh, this, I'm sorry.
One meeting with the college president and the mayor of the city of Dunkirk. I have
okay.
not
Oh,
had
this
multiple.
was. Oh, okay. This is outside of that one.
Okay.
This has to do with Labella and the committee that you formed.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the minutes from the committee, and so when I was looking at that, and there seems to be a discrepancy of the efficiency of the Vineyard Drive pump station. From when it was first designed, from 2017, it was supposed to go to the capacity of 1.2 million gallons per day, or 800 gallons per minute. That's after replacing the suction and transmission mains, which were completed. Rambo, which did a ending report in 2022, actually stated that we're only limited by the contract with Dunkirk at 750,000 gallons per day. And they make a recommendation, this is recommended to initiate negotiations with Dunkirk to restore to the full capacity of 1,150,000 gallons per day. But then I've also have a statement which makes it even more conflicting here. This was, it was actually in the Observer, but it was quoted that from Randy Woodbury, that it states, there's actually two quotes in here I'm going to read. The first one being that in two recent Observer articles, it was not clear, although true, that the city of Dunkirk water supply to the Village of Fredonia pump station has remained able to fully supply Fredonia's requested sustained flow from Dunkirk at about 500,000 to 750,000 gallons per day. That was stated by Woodbury. The delays in the fully and flexible operating fully flexibly operating the village pump station as observed by city managers as asked by Fredonia to be present at all of their startup sessions were not from lack of city water. And then, the next quote, the next startup after Fredonia had new valve controls installed was in March of 2021. The harmful starting and stopping pressure spikes were then found to not have been, to have been eliminated. A full day test delivering of 500,000 gallons went very smoothly. A high rate test also went smoothly, added Woodbury. The city looks forward to continuing smooth relationships with the neighboring Fredonia. Well, if it had much higher delivery rates then, when it was tested, and it was recently tested just for a short period and functioning perfectly fine, why is it continually going to lower rates when you're only talking 300 gallons per minute? I think that's very inefficient for something that was newly rebuilt, and that something that should be brought to what the engineering was designed for.
I think this has been explained
The
by multiple people
Right.
that
Let me-
it's not that the pump station can't supply that capacity. It can. The problem is that it draws down too much pressure
That's not
from the
That's exactly-
surrounding,
Because the
that's not what
surrounding-
Woodbury just said.
from the
That's exactly
surrounding
what the
businesses.
situation is, Jim. The capacity of the Vineyard Drive pumping station has not changed. The amount of water that it can pump through without draining water from the Vineyard Drive area
That's what
has
the re-
increased. So that's what's caused the differential in what we can get out of that, because the development on Vineyard Drive has increased.
Well, it's
Their
interesting.
I'm
sorry. Yeah,
their
go ahead.
fire loads have increased. They need that supply. Randy Woodbury has stated a number of times that for a very short period of time, if we needed to have a maximum supply, they could do that, but that would
Right.
suck the
Short
water out
period
of the
of time
rest of
only.
that system there. So I'm not sure where you're all going with this.
I'm trying to
So-
cover the safety issue, that the safety concerns the university. I'm trying to resolve the safety issues.
So the safety issues
so that
are
we don't have to
fine
go
because our water treatment plant can provide the amount of water that it needs. Unfortunately, if it does that, then we run into other problems. With the with the water tank on Webster Road, the million-gallon water tank coming back into service, that will lessen the problem. Let me answer some of your questions going back. So, in my meeting with the mayor of Dunkirk and the president of the college, did I ask him if they would start paying for some of our infrastructure issues and that? No, I did not. What the statement was we would work together to petition the state. If we all three work together as a common goal here, it would be more possible to get state funding for all these projects that we need, if it shows that we're intermunicipal and so forth. Now, the college, you say it doesn't pay taxes. I agree with you there, but it provides, it's the largest employer in Chautauqua County. It provides millions of dollars that go into our economy. I can tell you that if you wanted to be, and for lack of a better term, money grubbing, what the college provides to our community outweighs far more than what you'd be getting in taxes. So I think the benefit of having the college here, and to ask them for funding right now, I didn't think was very reasonable, because the college is, I don't know, what, $10 million in the red right now?
But they're offering it to the city to initiate a connection outside.
They're offering the assistance,
outside
Jim, to gain funding. I met with the president, I met with the mayor of the city of Dunkirk. I'm not sure you're reading quotes or where you got your information from, but I can tell you that we will work together while myself and Mayor Rosas are still in office with the president of the college. If this board decides what to do with our water system, to get the funding, to get these projects moving forward with government, state grants and funding. So that's where we're going with that. As far as, going on for 10 minutes about the capacities of Vineyard Drive pumping station, that changes based on the amount of development on Vineyard Drive. If they have more development, they're gonna be requiring more water from the city of Dunkirk through their Main Street pumping station.
So we have a facility in Dunkirk, they spent $25 million on. and
They can supply us with
and
water, Jim, just not through that connection.
And they put a new line up Route 60 and down through that way. And this was, prior to putting that new line, all we had was the connection that goes down Main Street Extension. And years ago, when the old pump station was there, we were able to get more capacity. Yeah, they didn't have quite as many businesses, but I find it hard to believe that those few businesses down Route 6 or Vineyard Drive can really take that significant amount of water away from the ability of those multiple lines now, it's not just one that goes up from Main Street Extension. They have the other crossover that comes down off of Route 60, and that was illustrated. It just doesn't seem to make sense. It seems like they're trying to reduce the numbers to make us look like that we need to have a connection larger into the back of the university. And where I state, I believe I say is home rule law allows us to protect our boundaries from, particularly with water sales outside the village. When we have the capacity to have plenty of safety for them, there's no need to go to that extent, to go for them to do that. And to me, it's just opening a door for them, as they've been saying right along, they want to take over the university, if not the whole village. And they've been saying that right along. And so, like I said, home rule law states that
Trustee Linden, I can tell you right now that statement is false. When I met with the president of the college and the mayor of the city of Dunkirk, he explicitly said multiple times to myself and the president of the college, they're not trying to poach water. And I have professed through 2 years prior to this board, which you were a board member on, to have an interconnect on Central Avenue. Down Central Avenue. So-
Hold on, I can make this really easy.
Hold on here, I'm still
Central Avenue
speaking,
connection.
down Central Avenue. That would make sense. This is just a proposed connection.
it is a proposed
And they would
connection
still have to
the-
go through the Village of Fredonia water lines. We would be in essence, the North County Water District for the university. of the water coming through our lines. We're buying the water from the city of Dunkirk, and we're selling it to the college.
How about if we let the engineers tell us what we should do?
That's not what the plan
Jim, do you have a
And-
shower in
and-
your house? Do you have a shower in your house?
Excuse me?
Do you have a shower in your house?
What does that
What
mean?
What happens when somebody flushes the toilet? Does the pressure go down? What happens when you run your dishwasher on top of it, and then the washing machine on top of it? The pressure goes down.
Okay.
Same thing as if we're pumping 1,000 gallons a minute, and then they take X from it.
How about if we just wait until we get the engineer's report on the 13th and read what they're gonna recommend to us, and then we can have these discussions. They've got as much information as they requested.
Clear, this is what I'm.
They'll have it all.
How do you know that they don't have what they need, Michelle?
Well,
Are
do they
you?
have the cost of pumps for pumping?
They
that
will
water?
have
They
all
will,
that.
that'll be part of the report.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't hear that. I was at that meeting in Dunkirk.
Have you read what they gave us? Did you read the information? It said what the report would contain. All the costs for setting that up.
Is this
All
a cost
the costs
benefit analysis?
will be included. A
Yes.
30-year
So that
cost
would-
benefit analysis will
Yes,
be
the cost
included.
benefit would
Read the
include all
report,
the
Michelle,
costs.
it's in there. Read it. Shake your head all you want to, Michelle, it's in there.
Or just wait for it to come out in another 30 days, and we'll read it all together.
Mayor, you mentioned.
Everybody's welcome to
mentioned
attend.
There was a proposal years ago for the connection up Central Avenue. This is not up Central Avenue. This is directly to the back of the university.
Proposals are proposals, Jim.
Right, and
Until a board decides and approves a proper plan, you could say, the
But it should-
interconnection's great.
I'm trying to add clarity in the proposals, so instead of wasting time.
That's not a proposal yet.
And
That's
instead
from
of wasting time.
2014, Jim. We haven't had our proposal yet. That's coming
That's
on
the-
November 13th.
This was in the package for, in the updated it's an updated proposal that was sent to you guys, to that,
I have no idea what you're reading and where you received that from and who it's to. Who was it from?
it was originally from the city of Dunkirk.
From what
From
year?
Mayor Rose's.
2014?
September 13th, 2023.
Okay. That's the Dunker's proposal. That's a proposal. That's all it is. We are going off of our engineering comprehensive study moving forward. I could bring up what North County Water District wants to do too, Jim.
Right.
That's their proposals. That's
I
not what the
realize-
board will approve.
I
We're
realize
going
this.
this
I'm just
based
trying,
on,
just trying to put a,
you're trying to confuse everybody is
No, I'm
what you're
trying to-
trying to do
no, I'm
here. You're
not.
trying to,
But I- but
you're
it's-
trying to make it out like we're not gonna make a decision
and
based on the
something that
comprehensive
doesn't need to be
study.
discussed.
Okay,
It's
this has
discussing
been
that.
discussed
Okay.
way too much.
Thank
and
you.
We could go on forever on this, Trustee Linden.
Yep.
So in addition to that letter, I also extended our state of emergency, effective October 5th for another 30 days. So that will also assist our engineering firm on gathering more emergency funding once this report comes in, the comprehensive study. And again, this board will be making the decisions on which way to move forward solely on the comprehensive study, not on anything that's been proposed by the State of Dunkirk, the State University of Fredonia, or North County Water District. You might as well put those studies in here and argue about that too, because these are all moot points until this comprehensive study comes out.
You know, I feel as a trustee, I have something to say, it's part of the proposal. Just like they sent some information, it's part of the proposal. Mine should be just as strong. My statements should be just as strong. So,
And those haven't been voted on by the board, Trustee Linden, and all those are basically our ideas right now, proposed ideas.
thank you.
They're not set in stone. This village board is not moving in that direction unless it wants to. But again, we will wait for the comprehensive study to fully explain the cost-benefit analysis of the two different options, staying with our current water system or seeking an alternative source. And,
Or both. Adding an interconnect and keeping our current water
well,
system,
that would be a redundant water, a fully redundant water supply, yes.
which is a possibility as well.
Alrighty. So, Alyssa, you sent us an email on the update of the meeting you had there. Can I read that, or does it make any sense to read that the meeting you guys had with the Labella there the other day? Because it kind of gives us a good update on where we are with the water tower and so forth. So yesterday at 1 PM, we met with Lobella to discuss where we stand with the engineering study. They provided us with a date of November 13th where they will be presenting their findings and opinions. They met with the city of Dunkirk yesterday to discuss the flows and other water information to better grasp the feasibility of how we should proceed with the city of Dunkirk. They were gathering some more information from how we compute the water loss and discussing calculations Lewis makes to determine what comes from the plant. We were able to view the format that the study would be submitted to us. During the 3 PM meeting, we discussed with Natalie the things that have been completed or in process since the last meeting. These include the SCADA system being up and running, which it is, correct, Louis? Correct. The mixer for the Webster Road tank being functional and needing a resolution at Monday's meeting for both the fence around Webster Road tank, which can be then completed as soon as the contractors are able. Natalie was asked what she would like to see get done between now and engineering study completion. She says she wants to see the valves cleaned in the sludge well, which that was one of the things that we were working on, but we can't have that until we have the Webster Road tank in operation, which will be completed when the Webster Road tank is up and running. So Natalie was satisfied with that, and we did tell her study would be presented on November 13th meeting. So the public needs to know we are moving forward on the immediate actions to keep our water plant up and running and in proper order to provide safe and sufficient water. Is there any other new business?
Yeah. So we all received a letter from Matthew Fitzgerald, Phelps Lilo regarding AA Vineyards. It seems to me that the matter should be sent to both the zoning and planning boards. And then before we take a look at their recommendations, we look at what the zoning and planning boards recommend to us.
Any other discussion?
I agree with that assessment. We don't
I
have a-
agree too. That's the proper channel.
Yeah.
Is it
And then
goes
we'll
through
wait
the
to see what
zoning.
planning and
Right.
zoning says before we
We can't make a
undertake it.
decision on spot zoning. Yeah.
Okay. Any other new business? We'll move on to old business. County improvements on Water Street. Michelle or
Yes, I
Nicole?
was the one that met, Nicole couldn't make it to that meeting, and I was the only village representative there. Susan Parker was there, Rebecca Worcester, and Drew Rogers. And we went over the plans for a safe pedestrian crosswalk on Water Street. And we talked about bump outs, and we also spoke about the possibility of just painting bump outs, so you don't really have a physical bump out. And we'll be talking about it again, and I hope Nicole and Chief Price and Scott can continue to be part of that information.
Thank you. Is there any other, let's see here. I have old business from a long time ago, and maybe Jim, you can recollect my memory. In 2018, we were awarded an efficiency grant for Fredonia Dunkirk wastewater sludge consolidation feasibility study. Do you recall if the board at that time decided to not move forward on that or not? I have to let the EFC know, or the State Department of State know here. To either, we either will, discontinue that or move
Well,
forward.
it was a good idea at the time to collaborate with Dunkirk as far as this sludge drying program for us to handle because we have a better capability of drying sludge than they do.
And Sean, did you have some input on that at the time? Were you here?
That was before my time. And so, I mean,
Is that something you could research possibly to find out if our board at the time made a decision? It would have been probably shortly after that. Because I know in 2020 they did contact me, but that was right when COVID was hitting and I was ill, and I don't know what happened at that point, but the state needs to know whether we will just disregard that so they can move forward and release those funds to something else, or
I know Mayor Landis had discussions with the city of Dunkirk and county about that and whether it was something we could move forward with, and,
Well, we will know if the board made a resolution to pass it or not,
Really would.
move forward, but if you could let me know, that'd be greatly appreciated.
if we could get funding, that'd be awesome.
Not knowing a lot about this, Sean, what would you think about processing City of Dunkirk sludge at our plant? And let's say the board didn't make a decision on it back in 2018-19 or moving forward here. What would your thoughts on it, or don't you have anything unless you know more about what's?
I couldn't offer you anything right now. I would go with the engineer and have them assess it for us.
Okay.
Go from there.
All right, thank you. Is there any other old business that needs to be discussed?
Yeah, so last week, we received correspondence from Richard St. George about a notice of dangerous situation. I spoke with Scott, and the drain has been cleared, and that situation has been cleaned up. We tabled a motion 2 weeks ago regarding Michael Colquitt. He did come out, and we all got his update of what he found when he visited all our parks, including Barker Common.
Michelle, you went to that meeting. Well, how did that, what did he say about that?
I didn't go to that meeting. I don't have an update either.
Oh, you said you were gonna go to it the next day, so.
I know.
Well, we all got you got the review, right, that he sent everybody?
I got the review.
Yeah, okay. So I would like that resolution to be on the agenda for October 30th, yeah, to revisit that resolution. And the only other thing I had was, we talked about there was a pipe blockage in Village Hall. Are we anywhere with that?
We had Gugino's come out and snake it, and Friday night there was a lot of people here for
Yes, there
Dijon,
were.
and nothing happened.
Okay.
So
That's right, because Rick
Yeah.
sent us a text on Saturday morning saying everything
Good.
there was no
thank
bad
you,
flows or
Gugino's.
anything, so
Yes,
Okay.
it was great.
maybe that corrected the problem for now.
Right.
I did want to add one more thing under old business. I know Scott was able to have St. George come and help him dig up Center Street where the storm sewer line was failing, and they had to correct that, and we're hoping that'll be the end of water coming into the Rousseau building, the storm sewer line. It had to be readjusted, but we did have to spend money, and he said it was out of the CHIPS fund that he spent the money, because it was an emergency, so we did need to pass a resolution on spending that money to fix that problem.
Have you heard from Jeremy at all?
No,
Okay, because with all the rain we've had, I would think if.
I know,
Yeah.
right.
So
I
if we
think
haven't
he
heard
would've
from him, that's good
called.
news, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's good news,
Yeah.
so that problem was solved.
Good.
Well, let's hope it's solved.
Thank you. I mean, I think what Scott said was that there was clay tile that was collapsed.
Yes, correct. Mhm.
Super, thank you. Any other old business before we move on? Move on to department reports. Chuck isn't here for code enforcement, or is he on Zoom?
Chuck, you there?
Are we not able to?
There's no check on, just chat.
But we can't, unless we have a policy now for people zooming in and being part of the meeting, we can't have that?
They can't vote, they can be part of the meeting.
Because they're not voting members.
Well, they're not.
They're not elected.
Right, they're
Yeah.
not
Okay, so
elected
that's okay?
officials.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
Not me.
He could be part of the
Not a
Zoom
problem.
meeting.
Right.
Okay, Scott here from the DPW. Scott?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the Center Street Drainage Project, which, Trustee Twitchell just spoke about. We did get the pipe repaired. Unfortunately, there's a big road cut over there that needs to be addressed now. I'm trying to put something together to see if we can repair this mill and pave that road for, winter time, but it's gonna just depend on the weather.
Is the
So I'm
blacktop?
hoping to get it.
What's
that?
Is the blacktop plant still open right now?
Yeah, they're still open. They'll be open till November. But we still need some warmer, drier weather to do the work. So I'm hoping to get it done. If not, it'll have to be in the spring. But for now, at least the drainage is fixed and the Russo building should be, clear of getting flooded out again.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Scott.
No, that's it.
Hey, Scott, what's the update on Portage? How's that work going with the culvert and everything?
So the town of Pomfret actually got a grant to do that project, so we're gonna wrap this all into one big project, and it's gonna be all paid for between the county and the town of Pomfret in the spring.
Thank you.
Do we own that property yet?
Yeah.
We officially do now?
There's another part of it. A holdup was, we got the property, we had an asbestos review done, and they found asbestos in the house. So now it's another process. We have to get a, certified contractor in there to remove the asbestos before we can demo the house.
But we do own the property at least, so we can move forward with the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I guess I would officially, publicly like to thank the town of Pomfret and the county of Chautauqua for getting those grants to assist us in that drainage project there. And the culvert project as well, so
Does
thank
the
you.
house need to be demoed before they do the work? Can they work around the
Yes.
house? Oh, it does.
Yes, it does. And I'm working with an asbestos company out of Buffalo, and I just spoke with him last week, and he's supposed to be giving me an estimate on the removal. I have no idea what that's gonna cost to remove the asbestos. It wasn't really in our original plan. We planned for the demo and purchasing of it, we just weren't sure on the asbestos. But now that it has the asbestos, we're gonna have to, get those estimates and take care of it.
All right, Chief Myers from the fire department, anything from you?
Yeah, we had a first Eclipse meeting last week or the week before, I can't remember this. The local Eclipse panel brought together really all the stakeholders, and I think it was a very successful meeting. We're gonna have a couple more before the event. Thank you for everyone that came out and attended that. We had our fire department open house October 7th. It was a huge success in my opinion. I'd like to thank everyone that ensured the event was successful and look forward to next year's. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Chief Price. Thank you. Recreation Department. Frankie.
Not in this meeting. I can speak on the Lavella report next meeting for the Fredonia opportunities for that.
All right, thank you. Sean, wastewater, anything from you? Sir.
I have a few things. Last week, we had one of our filter bed effluent valves failure, and it was a programming thing, and that it just lost its way. It just totally shut down. So I had to call in a technician, and we ended up reprogramming the actuator, and now it works fine. So that was a good fix. It took us about a week to get the guy out here, but we got it done. We have, today, we had a problem with our dump truck oil leak. So that had got to the dump and did its duty there, and it's in the repair shop right now. We have an oil leak. So we got to find it and get it fixed. So that's what's going on with the dump truck. And this week and next week, we have a trainee training at basic operations at JCC.
Do you use your dump truck daily?
Not lately, no.
I mean, if you need to use something daily, can either DPW or the town Pomfret help you out with the 10-wheeler?
I would go to Scott first and see, But right now, I think we're okay, so.
Okay.
But thank you for mentioning that.
I'm sure you already were thinking of that and everything.
No, I wasn't. But when something happens, Scott's probably usually the first guy I call,
Yep.
He's very reliable.
Throw it in the back of the new pickup.
We'll try that, good. That's all I have. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lewis, anything more from water treatment? Thank you for getting these things working and going within the 30 days here that we had to. This is very crucial, and I know the health department was working closely with you, and they're very pleased with everything you're doing, so are we. All right. That is it for our workshop right now. Chip will sign off for a few minutes until 7:30. We have 15 minutes until the meeting starts. So thank you, everyone. And if you want to Fredonia, regular meeting, October 16th, 2023 at 7:30 PM. I'll call this meeting to order on Monday, October 16th, 2023 at 7:30 PM. We'll have a roll call to trustees. Trustee Linden? Here. Trustee Twitchell?
Here.
Trustee Byrd?
Here.
Trustee Syracuse?
Here.
Trustee Esperson?
Here.
Let's show all 5 trustees are present. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We please have approval of the minutes.
Whereas members of this board have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of October 2nd, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved that the board hereby approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Byrd?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Carried.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to speak, once recognized, shall stand at the microphone and state their name and address. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes if speaking for themselves, or 5 minutes if speaking on behalf of a group. I will ask the speakers to refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board.
Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Please step to the podium.
Thank you.
Your name.
Mark Twitchell, I live on Temple Street. I'd like to present opposition to the request by a developer for this board, to change the village's zoning law to allow a boarding house to be constructed in a zoned R1 district at the site of the vacant WCA home. A petition is circulating in the village which contains many of the following points. Number 1, the request has not been reviewed by the Fredonia Zoning Board of Appeals, and I thank this board for recognizing that and referring the request for a change in zoning laws to first the Zoning Board of Appeals. Number 2, the business entity seeking the change in law does not own the property and therefore lacks standing. That will not change regardless of which board the developer is presenting the plan to. Number 3, the request is premature since there remains almost 4 months in the existing variance, in the existing non-conforming use variance benefiting the current property owners. Number 4, the village code describes a boarding house as disruptive in R1 districts, and that's right out of the code book, disruptive. The code also stipulates that a discontinued non-conforming use should be followed by a desired eventual conformity of use. Now, the possibility of altering the property of the WCA home to conform with R1 zoning has not been considered. Number 5, the village code specifically calls for preservation of the character of Temple Street, which contains architecturally significant homes like the original structure of the WCA home designed in 1877 by Enoch Curtis, who also designed the building that we're meeting in. A boarding house violates the family residential qualities of Temple Street and any other R1 district. 6, the developer has indicated they will seek tax breaks for the boarding house if the village board agrees to change the zoning law. This board is at the disadvantage of potentially approving the request to change the law without knowing the net tax benefit to the village resulting from its approval. Number 7, the developer's intent fails to recognize the cumulative impact of another public housing project on Temple Street. The Temple Street neighborhood already has the One Temple Square facility only 2 blocks down the street. And lastly, number 8, the developer's request to change the law allowing a boarding house in an R1 district represents spot zoning, which is prohibited by village code and threatens the integrity of all R1 districts within the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Matt Fitzgerald. I represent AA Vineyards. Here from AA Vineyards, we have Dennis Rackett's principal. So I appreciate the comments that were just made. What I'd like to do very briefly for the board is just walk through what the letter that we submitted was, and then if I'm allowed the time to just quickly respond to those comments, because I'd like the board to have our responses. as the board is aware, the WCA home is one that is currently unoccupied. It's a 40,000 square foot facility that cannot be used for a single family residential use. The only use permitted in the code right now in that district, as of right, would be single family residential use. I don't think anyone thinks that it will ever be used for that purpose. The only way you could do that would be to demo the building, build something much smaller on the property, which I don't think anyone in this village would want to see. Accordingly, Mr. Rack and AA Vineyards saw this as an opportunity to take an existing structure that had an existing number of units that was previously used for housing in the village and to put it to good use. And that good use would be to supply housing for temporary workers who are here under the H-2A program visa. Now, our letter went into great detail about this program. These are individuals who have had background checks, who have been vetted and recruited through standards set at state and federal levels. These are individuals who are here temporarily to work hard to take jobs that must by law first be offered to American citizens. And only when American citizens say we don't want these jobs do these individuals take the journey to our community to do the hard work to support the local businesses that help put the tax dollars into the village. So I understand that the board would like us to go to the ZBA. I know that this isn't a question and answer session. Is that for a recommendation or an application you're looking for us to make? Are you looking for us to make a use variance application?
I believe that you need to follow the proper process.
Okay. So our thought in the letter would be that we would come at this from the perspective of a legislative amendment rather than going to the zoning board. Certainly we can apply to the zoning board. We'll plan on submitting such an application for a use variance, which would be required here. The alternative would be, rather than a rezoning of the property, when I heard the word spot zoning, my mind went to there was a misconception that we were looking to rezone the property. What we were looking to do was have an amendment to the actual underlying zoning ordinance that would apply across the R1 district as a whole. That having been said, what I'd like to do is just quickly run through here. Again, because that was our request, that's why we didn't first go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The idea that the business entity lacks standing, the business entity would be doing this with full permission from the property owner, no different than any prospective purchaser of a property or any contract vendee coming forward and saying, hey, we have this affiliation with the property owner. I trust that the board is familiar that there's absolutely no reason that such an entity couldn't make such a request to either this board or to the Zoning Board of Appeals. With respect to the request being premature due to the existing non-conforming use, we understand after discussions with code enforcement that that existing non-conforming use would not be applicable to our future proposed use going forward, so it's not premature to do that. I don't believe we've received a written ruling on that yet, but that's our understanding from the conversations. The idea that the boarding house is disruptive also pairs together with the concept of cumulative impacts, that this is a property that was already used for a functionally equivalent purpose in terms of the number of units that were already there. We're not proposing to construct a new building to be utilized for this purpose. This is an existing building that we're proposing to reuse. With respect to the discussion of tax breaks, I'll note that the property is currently owned by a 501c3 organization, and as such, I don't believe it pays currently anything in property taxes to the village whatsoever. So understanding that if a pilot application were submitted and if it went through and received a blessing from this board, any situation would be better than the situation that it's currently in. Preserving the character of the street and the building itself, again, this is consistent with the prior use of the property. Any other solution, if a use variance isn't granted or if this board does not agree to amend the zoning code, there is no other way to use this property that doesn't involve the demolition of the home. I don't think that will happen either, because nobody's going to purchase the property for its value, demolish the massive home that's on it, and then simply construct a single-family residence. Something here has to give. This property is unique in the sense that it's the white elephant, right? It's got this massive building that's on it that can only really be used for the purpose that it was designed for. Lastly, I'll say that that really applies to the other comment that was made with respect to a discontinued non-conforming use should be followed by a conforming use. Certainly that in general principles of zoning, that would be what you would want to see. But whereas here, that's simply not practical, it's not something that the money is ever going to make sense to go that route, we would submit that this would make sense as an alternative use for this property. So with that, I do appreciate the board's time. I know that Mr. Rack is here. He may want to come up and add on to anything I've just said. He can feel free to do so, but I do thank the board for its time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I won't take a lot of time. I think people are familiar with what we do and our intent here. You know, the WCA home is a unique opportunity for us to really improve our employees' living standards and to ensure that we'll be able to recruit and maintain a good workforce in the future. You know, I don't think they're disruptive. They're here to work. They come to work at 6:30 in the morning and they go home at 5 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. When they get home, they do just like we all do. They have some dinner, probably watch a little TV. They probably call back and talk with their families. We've had these folks here for 5 years and never had an issue with anyone. You know, the WCA has provided tremendous benefit to the community over the years. You know, they're in a situation now where they can no longer do that. They have an endowment which, quite frankly, is getting whittled away in maintaining this property because they don't have a use for it. We would certainly like to purchase the property from them so that money could go back into useful causes in the community. I reached out to everyone on the board to have conversations and try and answer any questions. I've talked with a couple of people. I'd encourage the rest of you to call me directly and walk through any concerns you may have, because I think I can do that. With that, thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pete Corielli. Not familiar with one of these. Thank you, and thank you to both the police and the fire department and the mayor for having me here. Listen, I don't have all the notes like everybody else has. I'm a resident, and I live right by the WCA home, and I'm speaking on behalf of everybody that I spoke to that lives around me. We don't want it. We don't want what you want to do with it. It's very bothering that it's becoming this social issue that somehow not wanting 60 to 70 strangers in our community makes us bad people. I wouldn't care where they came from, what they look like. I got a 10-year-old. There's 11 kids I counted on Risley that are under 10. They're just starting to walk the streets, go up the block. You know, all of a sudden we're going to have 60 people in our community that we don't know who these people are, all right? You tell me they're vetted. By who? It's like ridiculous. Save the home? What do we owe? I don't know anything to the home. I moved my family to this small town to live a certain way. And I moved here because certain things were in place the way they are. It bothers me that I even have to be here. The zoning laws are in place for a reason. They're in place for a reason. You know, as far as what it was, with all due respect to the lawyer who was up here, there's a big difference between old ladies sitting on a porch knitting and 60 strange men from another country. It's a big difference. It's not the same thing at all. And if you don't think it is, then why is it coming to my neighborhood and not yours? It's like, this sounds terrible for me to say. I'm speaking on behalf of everybody. But again, it has nothing to do with race. I can't say this thing. Or
That's okay, we'll fix it later.
or social, or being right or wrong, or, you know, you want to provide a nice situation for your employees, and I get that, but we want to provide a nice neighborhood for us. The parade on Halloween is going to start right by that. When are you going to go on Halloween? Everyone comes into the village. I moved here. I could have moved out and had a lot of land. I chose to live in the village, to be a part of the village, because it's such a great, awesome little community. And I just don't think it's fair that all of a sudden this burden is being put on all of us living within the village, and we're being played out to be the bad people if we just don't accept this with open arms. It's not fair. For what? For one guy? For one guy? He's got all that land. Go build it on your own land. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? All right. Is there any correspondence that needs to be read during this portion?
Yes, I have a few letters.
Okay.
Dear Mayor Essick and Fredonia Village Trustees, I'm writing regarding the sale of the property at 134 Temple Street, formerly known as the WCA home. In March of this year, the WCA Board of Directors made the most difficult decision in our history, and that was to stop providing care to the community's elderly in our home. The WCA could no longer cover the rising costs of providing quality care and services in a fiscally responsible manner and was exhausting the endowment that was meant to be used to care for the elderly in Chautauqua County. Over the last 3 years, as a board, we worked very hard to find a nonprofit health care provider to gift the WCA home to, in an effort to continue its legacy in the community. 3 successive nonprofit organizations that provide residential housing services have turned down a donation of the building. Following their due diligence, each could not see a way past the many costly hurdles to accepting the gift. ADA compliance was the most cost-prohibitive hurdle, as the old portion of the building would have to be completely renovated to be in compliance, costing over $1 million. New York State Department of Health regulations for facilities also require a significant increase in room square footage and individual bathrooms for each room that was not available in a mandatory first floor location for one of our interested parties. Additionally, the 24,656 square foot building footprint was more than they needed, and renting space to other healthcare providers was not an option, with only 12 available parking spaces on the property. Each month moving forward, we continue to eat away at an endowment that was intended to serve the elderly in Chautauqua County as we maintain our building on Temple Street. Eventually, the funds will be exhausted. Selling the building to AA Vineyards assures that the home will be used in our community for good, and the village will have a well-cared-for residence on their tax roll. We are most confident that Mr. Rack, his family, and AA Vineyards are a suitable successor for the home. The WCA Board of Directors intends to utilize the funds from the sale of the building to move on from the bricks and mortar on Temple Street and continue the mission of our predecessors. I am asking that you look at the big picture here and see the good you can do for all involved parties when you support the sale of the WCA home. Respectfully, Lori Ann Ponatowski, WCA Home Board of Directors President. This letter was written by attorney Michael Bobstein, and he sent it to Francis Cirillo, the regional director of the New York State Department of Transportation. He wanted me to read it out loud during the meeting. Dear Mr. Cirillo, please know how much I appreciate the reduced speed limit for traffic on both the east and west sides of our village. It has made a significant difference. Vehicles are moving slower, and Route 20 is being treated as a village street for all users and less of a roadway reserved for quickly moving cars and trucks. As a person using a bicycle as much as possible, the reduced speed limit helps with the use of the East Main Street section of Route 20. However, I must provide this important notice to your department and the village of unacceptably safe conditions. A, there are no dedicated lanes for bicycles on either side of East Main Street section. B, there are no indications, signs, or pavement markings indicating that bicycles and cars and trucks may share the road. C, the stormwater receivers are large, extend from the curbs, and cross the painted fog lines and are not level with the street. D, based on experience, drivers treat the fog lines as the demarcation between the curb and the roadway reserved for bicycles. As such, I have been nearly hit as drivers too frequently leave no room for bicyclists to maneuver around the dangerous stormwater receivers. And E, essentially, bicyclists are treated as a nuisance and are endangered as drivers leave no room, despite having a wide, nearly unused middle turning lane the entire length of this East Main Street section. To fully realize the benefits to safety that come from reduced speeds, I respectfully ask that steps be taken immediately to provide safe and use for bicycles on this East Main Street section of Route 20. This East Main Street section of Route 20 must be made a village street consistent with the state's Complete Streets policy and the Village of Fredonia's policy. Thank you for your kind consideration. I would be happy to meet with you or your staff to discuss this and work to make the necessary changes. Very truly yours, Michael K. Bobstein. And the last letter I have is from Janie Wagner. An ecumenical vigil, recognition of grief, is planned for Sunday, October 22nd at the gazebo at Barker Commons at 5:30 p.m. The vigil will hold space for grief and contemplation and to show our community's support for Israel and all the victims of the barbarous attacks of October 7th. Sponsors include Temple Beth El and the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Northern Chautauqua. We anticipate having 30 to 50 attendees. From arrival to departure, we would like to be at the gazebo from 5 until 6:30 p.m. We plan to briefly use a microphone with a small speaker. In the event of inclement weather, the vigil will be moved indoors to the UCNC Meeting House at 222 Temple Street. Questions can be directed to Janie Wagner. I have her phone number. If anyone would like it, they can email me. That's all I have. Mayor.
All right, thank you. We'll now close the public portion. We'll move on to our regular correspondence.
Correspondence dated October 11th, 2022 was received from Amara Gori, President for the Applied Communication Association at SUNY Fredonia, requesting permission to hold their annual fall sweep event on Saturday, November 11th, 2023.
Be it resolved that the request from the Applied Communication Association to hold the annual fall leaf sweep event on Saturday, November 11th, 2023 at 11 a.m. is hereby approved, and further be it resolved that a certificate of insurance showing the Village of Fredonia as additional insured in the amount of $1 million will be sent to the village clerk's office at least 2 weeks prior to the event.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden. Aye. Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Sorry. Trustee Byrd.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye. Aye.
Carried.
Correspondence dated October 4th, 2023 was received from the Secretary of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department requesting the name Kaylee Cuiava, thank you, be removed from the active roll.
Be it resolved that Kaylee Cuiava, North Jerboa Street, Dunkirk, New York, is hereby removed from the active roll of the Fenner House Hose Company effective immediately.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Byrd.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Carried.
Correspondence dated October 3rd, 2023 was received from Joshua Bartok resigning his position as dispatcher with the Fredonia Police Department.
Be it resolved that the resignation of Joshua Bartok is hereby accepted effective October 18th, 2023, and the mayor is authorized to write a letter to Mr. Bartok thanking him for his service to the Village of Fredonia.
Trustee.
Oh, I second.
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Byrd.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Carried. We'll move on to our reports. I have just a few items to report tonight since my last report. I attended the Chautauqua County Chamber of Commerce 2023 Awards Banquet on October 5th. There were many deserving award recipients that night. I'd like to give congratulations to all the award winners. The Fredonia Fire Department Open House was held on October 7th. Lieutenant Dan Aldridge was promoted to the position of captain during the afternoon. Congratulations to Dan, and a big thank you to all involved with such a successful event at the fire hall. On the same day as the open house at the fire hall, I had the pleasure of speaking to our area scouts at the University of Scouting event held at SUNY Fredonia. It's always a great pleasure to speak to our youth. Finally, I want to congratulate our Fredonia Central School teacher, Ellen Foley. Mrs. Foley was named a New York State Teacher of the Year finalist. Congratulations to Ellen on such a great honor. And we are so lucky to have you teach our children here in Fredonia. And that is all I have to report tonight. Trustee Linden.
Just a few things. I also attended the open house of the fire department. What a great job they did connecting with the community. It was a super event. And also, I attended the opening of what they call the Snack Shack ribbon cutting ceremony for the student-run business on campus in Thompson Hall. That was a great opportunity for them to upscale their business from what they had been working with before. And so I even spoke to one of the young men who actually involved with it and claimed that he liked Fredonia so well when he graduates he plans on opening a business in Fredonia. I wish them very well, and I'm sure they'll find it very rewarding in all their endeavors. And I also, Michelle Twitchell and I also attended the meeting for the Portland Pomfret Dunkirk Sewer District Committee meeting. And the next one will be on October 30th at 3 p.m. And it's just continued negotiations. I believe the treasurer was requested to come to the next one, and I think she will be attending it. Let's see here. I think that was it. As far as my questions, responses for the water discussion, I just was hoping to clarify some things for value of input, to make sure that everything, all of our information is shared also with that. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Trustee Twitchell.
I too attended the open house for the fire department. It was a wonderful event. And as Jim said, I did attend the Snack Shack opening, and I congratulated the young entrepreneurs for learning how to run a business. And it looked to me like they had some great food choices for the students too, not just quick food grabs. And I did attend the Dunkirk water treatment plant discussion with Labella, and we did take a look at the water treatment plant in Dunkirk, and it's very efficient, very big, very nice. I mean, $25 million gets you a lot. I wish we could be as updated as they are with our plant. I know we've been working on it, and I would like to thank Louis for all of his hard work at the water treatment plant. He's been a real dedicated worker, and I'm really happy to see our water tanks going to be cleaned out and reused again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Byrd.
I just want to encourage everybody to attend our Halloween parade. Setup for the parade will be between 9 and 9:30 at the corner of Risley Street for everybody marching. Parade will start at 10, commencing probably 10:30 around the gazebo, at which time we'll have judging of costumes as well as a performance by Danza. And then from 11 to 1 o'clock at Russell Joy Park, there will be a trunk or treat. In the past, we've had roughly 1,000 kids go through the trunk or treat. There will be some dance performances there, as well as Fredonia Band, and a bounce house and donuts and cider will be provided as well. So please attend these events. And later on, we're going to be voting on or announcing trick-or-treating hours as well. So please get out in your community and enjoy it. It's wonderful that we're getting this stuff happening again.
All right, thank you. Trustee Syracuse.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Trustee Esperson.
Yeah, I'd just like to say congratulations to Captain Ulrich. That was a wonderful ceremony, Chief. You did an outstanding job with the whole open house, and how far that has come along in your couple of years is very commendable. I went to the Snack Shack ribbon cutting ceremony as well. Had a piece of really good cake, and you're right. The kids are the 3 students that are operating and are very enthusiastic, and I'm sure they'll do well. We had a meeting Wednesday that Michelle was at, Trustee Twitchell was at as well, with the Department of Health, and one thing that we talked about was the decision that we make is what our intention is going to be. Mm-hmm. The intention can be changed depending on what funding is or is not available. If we're going down a certain road, if funding is not available for that, we're not committed to that. We just have to let them know what our intention is. If funding doesn't become available for whatever path we choose to go, we can change course at that time. So we're not locked into that decision if funding doesn't become available. I just think the community needs to know that. That's all I've got.
Okay. Anything from the treasurer's office?
Nothing tonight.
Anything from the clerk's office?
Yes, the cutoff date for applications for the labor position at the DPW is Friday, so we'll be calling this week for interviews, scheduling interviews for that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Additional reports now, please.
Fredonia Police Department report for the month of September 2023. Total incidents reported 1,143. Fredonia Central School calls for service 2. Accidents 18. Arrests reported 40. Vehicle and traffic incidents 78. domestic incidents 17, parking tickets 66. Fredonia Village Court, Justice Court Report for the month of September 2023. The total number of cases closed, 79. Of those, vehicle and traffic were 48, criminal 20, village ordinances 5, civil cases 3, ABC laws 3. Total fines and surcharges $4,245. Parking ticket fines $1,190 for a total of $5,435. The Fredonia Fire Department report for September 2023. During the month of September 2023, our department responded to 184 calls for service, performing 82 transports to the hospital and handling 13 simultaneous EMS calls. September 2nd and 3rd, the department spent over 20 hours conducting annual proficiency training that included live fire, bailouts, and survival skills at the training facility in Jamestown, New York. Additional training throughout this reporting month, our career firefighters officers conducted over 60 hours of training. Our volunteer firefighter had 3 operational training nights and 1 fire company meeting. Observing an evacuation drill at Fredonia Place and performing 7 EMS standbys for the Fredonia Central School District's football game are some additional items that our department handled during the month of September 2023. Joshua Myers, Chief of the Department of Fire Department, sorry. The Code Enforcement Month End Report for September of 2023. Building permits issued 27, inspections 96, certificates of occupancy 104, certificates of compliance 25, violations found 13, violations satisfied 2. Fees collected. Permit fees $1,762.40, rental fees $790, certificate of compliance fees $150, zoning fees $200, for a total of $2,902.40. Rental inspections 27, rental renewals 10. 27 permits generated $1,762.40 revenue at the estimated cost of work for the month of September, $394,457. That's all I have for reports.
Thank you. Move on to resolutions, please.
Be it resolved that pursuant to Section 5520 of Village Law, the following budget transfers are hereby approved. $9,025 from F8029 Water Fund balance to H8330.2 Webster Road Tank Fence Installation. $39,890 from F8029 Water Fund balance to H330.2 Webster Road Disinfection.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Byrd?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
And Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Carried.
Whereas the Village of Fredonia requires installation of a fence at the water tower on Webster Road, and whereas Active Fence, Asheville, New York, has supplied a proposal for 300-foot by 6-foot chain link fencing and other required materials plus insulation for $9,025. Whereas the Health Department issued a violation for not having the tank secured and the fence is suitable for the village's needs. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village Board hereby authorizes the purchase of the fence and installation by Active Fence for $9,025.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Byrd?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Carried.
Whereas the Village of Fredonia requires the disinfection of the tank at the water tower on Webster Road, and whereas Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Company, Henderson, Kentucky, has supplied a proposal for the disinfection of the Webster Road 1 million gallon water tank, including labor, material, and equipment, for $39,890, and whereas the disinfection of the tank will allow it to be put back in service to assist in the remedies of the Health Department violations and is suitable for the village's needs. Therefore, be it resolved, the Village Board hereby authorizes the cleaning of Webster Road tank by Pittsburgh Tank and Tower Group for $39,890.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell?
Aye.
Trustee Byrd?
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
Carried.
Be it resolved, the hours for trick-or-treating are hereby approved from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, October 31st, 2023 for the Village of Fredonia and the Town of Pomfret, and a curfew be set for 7 p.m. and the parents be encouraged to tell their children not to trick or treat beyond 7 p.m. Residents are also encouraged to turn porch lights off at 7 p.m., thus signaling further trick or treating will not be accepted.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Byrd.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Carried.
Whereas the village wishes to memorialize its policy regarding the use of cellular phones during public meetings in order to maintain decorum of such meetings and avoid any claims of private communications being made during such public meetings. Whereas village elected officials should avoid browsing the internet or accessing social media for non-village business during meetings, that the board's full attention can be given to the matter at hand. Therefore be resolved, the elected officials of the village shall not use cellular phones or other electric devices during board meetings for communications or access to social media unless such communication is necessary for a personal or family emergency.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Byrd.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Carried. Is there any need to go into executive session?
Yes, there is for personnel matters.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to enter into executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to enter into executive session. Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Twitchell.
Aye.
Trustee Byrd.
Aye.
Trustee Syracuse.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Carried. The next meeting of the Village of Fredonia workshop and board meeting will take place on Monday, October 30th, 2023 at 6:30 PM in the trustee room, second floor, Village Hall. Thank you, everyone.